Before this episode, we want to take a moment to express our condolences as Michigan State Director of Hockey Operations Dan Sturgis unexpectedly passed away Monday. He was with the program since 2019 and was a member of its 2007 national championship team. Spartans head coach Adam Nightingale said he cared deeply about the student athletes and staff in the hockey program and built genuine relationships with people throughout the department. Sturgis is survived by his wife Becky and his two sons. He was 40. With a new year and a new jersey, we welcome you back down to ice level for episode 37 of the show. And as we come back from winter break, as always, I'm your host, James Blennau. We have quite a bit to talk about this episode. We have some news coming out of the Hockey East and coming out of the NCAA rules committees. So let's get right into that. The transfer portal window is changing immediately. The window changes to 15 days starting on the Monday after the national championship game starting this season. Exceptions can be made for a coaching change with a new 15-day window opening 5 days after a hiring or announcing of a new coach. If a new coach isn't named within 30 days of the prior coach being fired, the window will open on day 31, provided that it's in the off-season. New regulations begin after the Frozen Four on April 9th and 11th. After a massive fight in Boston, BU's Sasha Boisvert and UMass Lowell's Connor Eddy have each been suspended for 2 games. The Hockey East's announcement came Sunday, with each player ineligible for this weekend's matchups. The Terriers will be without Boisvert in their home-and-home series this weekend against Providence, and the Riverhawks will be without Eddy for their 2-game homestand versus Maine. Number 9 Denver at number 5 North Dakota. Pioneers lost 5-0 in Game 1. Let's check out Game 2. Second period halfway done, tied at 1-1. Jake Livanovich all over the place, circling around the ice, sneaks it in from the circle, and the Hawks take their first lead of the game 2-1. Now with 7 to go, Eric Polkamp says, "Anything you can do, I can do better." From one-star NCHC man to another, Polkamp ties it at 2. In the third period with 8 to go on the Denver power play, James Reeder cleans up the tic-tac-toe rebound, and the Pioneers back in the game with the late lead. And that'll hold for the rest of the game. Pioneers take 3 points on the road in the 3-2 win. They'll take on St. Cloud State next week on the road, and the Hawks face Arizona State in Tempe. Another big upset for the Catamounts as Vermont beats number 11 UConn in Storrs. The Cats are 3-1 in their last 4 ranked matchups, including a sweep over at the time number 16 Northeastern. Vermont scored 3 unanswered in the second and third period to turn a 2-1 deficit into a 4-2 win. Colin Kessler scored his first 2 goals of the season, while Blake Steenerson scored a goal and an assist. Jens Richards and Philip Tornquist both blocked 4 shots, as Aiden Wright saved 32 of 34. Vermont is hot as it goes home to face UMass at the Gut on Friday and Saturday. 2 of Atlantic Hockey America's top teams met this weekend as Bentley traveled to Fairfield for a 2-game set at Sacred Heart. The Pioneers won the first game 3-2 as Felix Trudeau scored his 18th goal of the season in the win. Saturday night was even closer as Bentley took the extra shootout point in the 4-4 tie. 15 different players were on the score sheet as Trudeau scored yet another with his 19th of the season, but Dylan Cook and Michael Messick made both of their shootout attempts, while Lucas Sweden saved both attempts from the Pioneers. And let's check out how close it is at the top of the standings. It's still those 2 in first place as Bentley at 11-2-3 holds the top spot, and Sacred Heart at 9-4-3 in second. Holy Cross not too far behind the Pioneers at 9-3-2. RIT with the same amount of wins, and Air Force at 7-8-1 following them. Canisius at 500 with 6-6-2. Robert Morris at 5-8-1. Army at 4-10-3. Niagara at 4-9-0, and Mercyhurst then last at 3-10-1. In the Big Ten, number 4 Michigan State swept number 2 Wisconsin on the road with a 4-3 win on Friday and a 4-1 win on Saturday. Last weekend's game saw Daniel Russell scored 3 goals as the Spartans' best goal scorer in both contests. Charlie Stramo returned to Madison with 2 assists and a goal as Tiernan Shouty held strong at the faceoff dot while also blocking 4 shots. In an ever-competitive Big Ten conference, it's the depth that earns Sparty all 6 points in their visit to Madison. And let's see where that brings them in this week's standings. It's the rivals, the Michigan Wolverines, at 31 points at the top of the standings, followed by Penn State at 25 and the Spartans at 24. Wisconsin follows them with 22 and a drop-off to Minnesota at 14, with Ohio State at 9 and Notre Dame rounding us out at 1. In the CCHA, Michigan Tech is climbing the NPI and the standings after this week's sweep over number 17 Minnesota State. Friday saw 3 unanswered from the Huskies, only allowing 25 shots on Owen Bartoskevich and a 3-1 win. Saturday was an awesome game for first-team All-Namer Max Koshkapirti with 3 assists in the 4-1 win. Bartoskevich saved 46 of 47 shots from the Mavericks' offensive onslaught. Let's see where the Huskies rise to in this week's standings. It's another purple Minnesota team in front. This time it's St. Thomas with 36 points leading the pack, followed by Augustana at a close 35, and Michigan Tech at 34. A small drop off to Bowling Green at 30, with Minnesota State stuck at 28 and Bemidji State at 25. Lake Superior State in 7th with 20, Ferris State with 9, and Northern Michigan with 5 on the season. Number 7, Quinnipiac may be finally finding some consistent form in ECAC hockey after a sweep in upstate New York. Friday's 5-1 thrashing over Colgate set the tone for Saturday's 4-1 win over number 13 Cornell in Ithaca. The Bobcats' early goal from Andon Sorbonne in the mid-first period was the only one until Ethan Wittenbach ripped one past Alexei Cournoyer in the early third. Quinnipiac's defense only allowed 21 shots on Matei Marinov. The back-end discipline shined, allowing no shots on the 2 Big Red power plays, while RPI transfer Will Gilson blocked 4 of his own. And after sweeping the Red road trip for the first time since 2018-19, let's see who leads ECAC hockey's Cleary Cup race. The Bobcats now in sole possession with 28 points, but look close behind them. It's Dartmouth with 26 and Harvard with 24. Another Ivy in 4th with Princeton at 22 and Cornell breathing down their necks at 21. Yale follows them at 18 with Union at 17, Clarkson at 16, and rounding us out are Colgate, Brown, RPI, and St. Lawrence. In the Hockey East, number 12 Boston College and number 14 Providence met for a home-and-home series last weekend. Friday night in Conti Forum saw the Friars win 4-3 in overtime. Logan Sawyer scored the winner for Providence to take 2 points, and in the return game to Providence, Sawyer picked up his second game winner, but this time in regulation, to take 5 points out of 6 against the Eagles. Let's take a closer look at the chaos in the Hockey East standings. UConn still leading the pack with 28, but the Friars not too far behind at 25, and BU just 1 point behind at 24. Boston College and Northeastern both at 22 following them, with Vermont climbing up at 18, just above Maine at 16. UMass in 8th with 15, tied with New Hampshire, and UMass Lowell with Merrimack in the final spot with 13 points. In the NCHC, St. Cloud State absolutely ransacked their land of 10,000 Lakes rivals, number 6 Minnesota Duluth 6-0 on Friday night to make things a bit more interesting at the top of the conference. Tyson Gross led the Huskies, scoring with 2 goals and an assist. Gross also went 17 of 27 in the faceoff dot. Finn Loftus and Austin Bernovic also earned 1-1 in the upset win. Jan Shostak stood on his head in net, saving all 42 Bulldog shots in their first ranked win of the new year. And let's take a look at the standings as more teams like the Huskies look to play spoiler down the line. North Dakota takes top spot with a 5-point lead at 32 points, followed by Denver at 27. Not too far behind them, the aforementioned Bulldogs at 24, and just 1 point behind them, Western Michigan at 23. A drop off to St. Cloud State and Arizona State at 17, with Miami at 16, and Omaha and Colorado College tied at 12. In the poll this week, Michigan with a near unanimous first place, 49 votes, followed by Michigan State and Western Michigan with 1 first place vote, with North Dakota and Wisconsin rounding out the top 5. Quinnipiac jumps to 6 with Minnesota Duluth Penn State, Denver, and Dartmouth rounding out the top 10. That's 2 ECAC hockey teams in this week's top 10. Providence, Cornell, UConn, Augustana, and Boston College take us to 15, while St. Thomas, Maine, BU, newcomers Michigan Tech, and Minnesota State round out the top 20. In the forecast, in ECAC hockey, number 10 Dartmouth heads to the Lakeside as the Big Green take on number 12 Cornell on Friday. In the NCHC, number 3 Western Michigan heads west to meet number 7 Minnesota Duluth in a 2-game road series. In the Big Ten, number 8 Penn State meets number 5 Wisconsin and Madison for 2 other top 10 games. And finally, at Ingalls Rink in New Haven, number 6 Quinnipiac, number 13 UConn, Sacred Heart, and Yale meet for the Connecticut Ice Tournament as the Bobcats play Sacred Heart while the Huskies play the Bulldogs on Friday, with the winners and losers meeting on Saturday. That's all for Ice Level this week. Thanks so much for coming down with me again. Be sure to be on the lookout for all the great games coming up this weekend, and also be on the lookout for a special announcement coming soon. The show is going to be adding a little something soon. I don't know when it's going to come because I don't know when it's going to be official, to be honest with you all. But it's coming soon, so stay on the lookout and keep watching. As always, I'm James Blennau, and we're not experts, but it takes fans to grow the game.